As your personal consulting doctor, I want to address a very real concern that impacts many lives. Imagine waking up one morning and noticing that your visual clarity is not what it once was. For a substantial number of my patients, this scenario sadly transitions from a thought to their daily reality as they advance in age. Did you know that conditions like cataracts and glaucoma are globally recognized as major contributors to irreversible vision loss? It's a critical statistic. Over 45 out of adults over the age of 55 will suffer from cataracts. These incredibly common eye disorders can culminate in profound vision impairment. And alarmingly, many individuals remain completely unaware they harbor them until the damage has become significant. The connection between diabetes and the development of these ocular pathologies is particularly troubling. Chronically elevated blood glucose levels have a deleterious effect, specifically damaging the fine blood vessels within the eyes. This systemic damage dramatically escalates the risk of both cataracts and glaucoma, often progressing without any discernible symptoms until the structural injury is already extensive. This is precisely why early intervention and implementing natural preventative strategies are not just important, they are absolutely crucial for your long-term health. Before we proceed, I'd like to ask a few focused questions about your current state. Have you noticed any recent changes in your night vision, or have you started to experience halos around lights? Do you ever feel a subtle, persistent, dull ache or pressure behind your eyes? Are you finding that you need to change your eyeglass prescription more frequently than you used to? Do your eyes ever feel dry or persistently irritated? Have you or a close family member been diagnosed with diabetes or any other vascular condition? Today, I am here to discuss 6 essential vitamins and nutrients that can act as a powerful safeguard for your vision, truly empowering you to take proactive control of your eye health. Let's embark on this journey and explore precisely how you can maintain sharp, functional vision for the many years ahead. Essential Nutrient 1 Vitamin A, the vision powerhouse. Let's begin our discussion with the foundational nutrient for sight, vitamin A. Before we delve into its mechanism of action, I'd love to know where you are joining this consultation from. Please share your location below. Also, if any questions arise throughout our talk, please do not hesitate to ask. I am here to ensure you have all the information you need. This powerhouse nutrient is fundamentally essential for sustaining excellent vision and overall physiological well-being. When you consider vitamin A, you might immediately visualize intensely colored orange carrots or deeply pigmented green spinach. These foods are generously supplied with beta-carotene, a vital precursor that your body efficiently converts into the active vitamin A it requires. So why is this nutrient so absolutely indispensable? Vitamin A plays a non-negotiable role in the biological synthesis of rhodopsin, a critical pigment located in the retina that makes it possible for us to see clearly in conditions of low illumination. This means that if you are suddenly struggling to navigate in the dark or in dimly lit environments, it could be a significant indicator that your dietary intake of vitamin A is insufficient. Now let's establish the vital connection between vitamin A and cataract formation. A deficiency in this vitamin is known to precipitate night blindness, which is frequently one of the earliest clinical signs of inadequate vitamin A reserves. Over an extended period, insufficient levels of this nutrient can undeniably contribute to the onset and progression of cataracts. Research has compellingly demonstrated that individuals who maintain a higher consumption of vitamin A may experience a statistically lower risk of developing cataracts, especially in the context of coexisting conditions like diabetes. This is a critical finding because diabetes can significantly compound eye health challenges, markedly increasing the probability of these vision-threatening issues. The biological mechanism underlying vitamin A's protective effects is quite remarkable. It is instrumental in preserving the optimal health of your retinal cells and effectively mitigating oxidative stress within the eyes. Oxidative stress is the biological imbalance that occurs when there is an excess of free radicals relative to the available antioxidants, ultimately leading to damaging cellular changes. By adeptly neutralizing these free radicals, vitamin A helps protect the delicate lens of the eye from clouding, which is the central pathology in cataract formation. Furthermore, maintaining robust retinal cell health is also crucial for preempting the development of other serious conditions, such as age-related macular degeneration (AMD), which can result in profound and central vision loss. You can readily obtain vitamin A from a variety of nutritious foods, including carrots, sweet potatoes, spinach, and animal-based sources such as liver and dairy products. The recommended daily intake for adults typically falls between 700 and 900 micrograms. To maximize the benefit of this fat-soluble vitamin, consider pairing these foods with healthy fats, such as a drizzle of olive oil or a slice of avocado. This combination significantly enhances the absorption of vitamin A while simultaneously adding a delicious richness to your meals. While cataracts are a major focus, it's vital to recognize that vitamin A's role extends to the prevention of other medically relevant conditions as well. For example, it is a key supporter of immune function, which is indispensable for overall health. A strong immune system is better equipped to fend off infections, including those that can affect the eyes, such as conjunctivitis, pink eye. Moreover, maintaining adequate vitamin A levels may help reduce the risk of certain chronic diseases tied to systemic poor health, including age-related macular degeneration. Essential nutrient 2, vitamin C, the antioxidant shield. Next, we move to vitamin C, a truly essential nutrient that plays a critical role in maintaining optimal eye health. This vitamin is not merely a common nutrient. It is an extraordinarily powerful antioxidant that actively helps shield your ocular structures from the oxidative damage inflicted by those pervasive free radicals. You might be wondering, what exactly are free radicals? Think of them as inherently unstable molecules that can severely harm your cells, potentially initiating various health problems, including both cataracts and glaucoma. By actively engaging and neutralizing these free radicals, vitamin C helps ensure your eyes remain robust and function at their peak capacity. Clinical research has consistently shown that a higher dietary intake of vitamin C is directly associated with a lower overall risk of cataracts. This is especially significant because cataracts fundamentally cause the lens of the eye to cloud, making clear sight extremely difficult. Furthermore, vitamin C plays an important supportive role in potentially slowing the progression of glaucoma. This condition is defined by an excessive increase in intraocular pressure, which can tragically damage the optic nerve. By promoting improved blood flow to the optic nerve, vitamin C helps maintain its critical health and functional integrity. So how does this process unfold biologically? The protective mechanism of vitamin C is fundamentally linked to its crucial role in collagen synthesis. Collagen is the primary structural protein that provides support and tensile strength to various tissues throughout your body, including the delicate structures within your eyes. A healthy, abundant supply of collagen is essential for sustaining the structural integrity and functionality of the eye. Additionally, vitamin C facilitates the regeneration of other antioxidants within the body, thereby amplifying your overall protective defense against oxidative stress. Where can you find this protective vitamin? Citrus fruits like oranges and grapefruits, along with strawberries, kiwi, and broccoli, are all superb sources of vitamin C. The general recommended daily intake for adults is approximately 75 to 90 milligrams. Incorporating these foods into your daily diet is both simple and enjoyable. You might toss a handful of strawberries into your morning oatmeal or savor a fresh glass of orange juice. Here is a practical clinical tip. Pairing vitamin C-rich foods with other fat-soluble antioxidants, such as vitamin E found in nuts and seeds, can profoundly enhance their combined protective effects. This nutritional synergy not only maximizes your nutrient intake, but provides a true antioxidant powerhouse that works collaboratively to combat oxidative damage in the eyes. In addition to its well-established benefits for eye health, vitamin C is also widely recognized for its robust support of the immune system, a feature that is particularly pertinent in the current global health climate. A strong immune system helps establish a defense against infections, including those that can directly impact the eyes, like conjunctivitis. Essential nutrient 3 vitamin E, the membrane stabilizer. Moving on, we come to vitamin E, a nutrient celebrated for its potent antioxidant properties and its crucial involvement in maintaining overall eye health. When our focus turns to protecting the eyes, vitamin E distinguishes itself with its remarkable ability to effectively counteract oxidative damage. Clinical research suggests that this vitamin can aid in reducing the risk of cataracts by diligently shielding the lens of the eye from the destructive action of harmful free radicals, which can gradually cloud vision over time. By consciously incorporating vitamin E into your dietary regimen, you are taking a significant proactive step toward preserving your sight. The active compounds within vitamin E, specifically the tocopherols, are essential players in this protective mechanism. These compounds function by stabilizing the integrity of cells and their membranes, thereby ensuring that the cells within your eyes remain perfectly healthy and fully functional. A healthy cell membrane is fundamental to maintaining the structural integrity of the eye, which explains why a deficiency in vitamin E can predispose you to various ocular issues, including an elevated risk of developing cataracts. Studies have observed that individuals exhibiting lower plasma levels of vitamin E are statistically more susceptible to oxidative stress, which in turn can accelerate the development of cataracts. So what is your daily requirement for vitamin E? The recommended daily intake for adults is typically around 15 milligrams. Fortunately, there is an abundance of delicious sources of this nutrient that can be easily integrated into your meals. Foods such as almonds, sunflower seeds, hazelnuts, and spinach are all excellent natural sources of vitamin E. Imagine starting your day with a nourishing smoothie blended with spinach banana and a generous sprinkle of sunflower seeds, a truly delicious way to boost your eye health. To significantly enhance the absorption of vitamin E, which is a fat-soluble vitamin, make sure to consume these foods alongside a source of healthy dietary fat, for example, adding some avocado to your spinach salad. Not only creates a delightful flavor combination, but also assists your body in absorbing and utilizing the vitamin E more effectively. Healthy fats are necessary cofactors that enable the body to efficiently process fat-soluble vitamins, like E, thereby making your meals more nutrient-dense. Essential nutrient 4 vitamin D, the sunshine regulator. Next up is vitamin D, frequently referred to as the sunshine vitamin, and for excellent reason. This essential nutrient is impressively supportive of our overall health and wellness. Recent compelling studies have highlighted a concerning correlation between a vitamin D deficiency and an increased risk of developing cataracts and glaucoma. This finding makes it absolutely essential to ensure that you are consistently obtaining adequate amounts of this vitamin. One of the key ways vitamin D supports eye health is by actively regulating calcium levels throughout the body. Maintaining healthy calcium levels is crucial for ensuring the appropriate regulation of intraocular pressure, a mechanism that is essential for reducing the risk of glaucoma. Glaucoma is a condition marked by elevated pressure inside the eye, which can lead to damage of the optic nerve and subsequent vision loss. By assisting in the regulation of calcium, vitamin D indirectly supports the mechanisms that keep your eye pressure within a safe range. However, the benefits of vitamin D do not stop there. The underlying mechanism responsible for its protective effects also involves its capacity to modulate inflammatory responses within the ocular structures. Chronic inflammation is a known contributor to various eye conditions, including potential damage to the optic nerve. By skillfully regulating inflammation, vitamin D may help lessen the risk of such damage, thereby preserving your vision for the long term. The general recommended daily intake of vitamin D for adults is about 600 to 800 international units IU, which can be acquired in several ways. One of the most natural sources is sunlight exposure. When your skin is exposed to the sun's ultraviolet B rays, it naturally produces vitamin D. However, many people simply do not get enough sun exposure, particularly during the winter months. Fortunately, you can also secure vitamin D from dietary sources such as fatty fish, e.g. salmon, and mackerel egg yolks and fortified dairy products. To further maximize the effectiveness of vitamin D, consider pairing it with magnesium-rich foods like nuts and seeds. Magnesium plays a vital cofactor role in vitamin D metabolism, meaning that an adequate intake of magnesium can help your body utilize the vitamin D more efficiently. Incorporating foods such as almonds, pumpkin seeds, and spinach into your meals is a simple yet effective strategy to boost both your magnesium and vitamin D levels. Beyond its direct eye health benefits, vitamin D is also critical for supporting bone health, immune function, and even mood regulation. This vitamin functions similarly to a hormone in the body, influencing numerous biological processes that are essential for achieving overall well-being. Essential nutrients 5. The B vitamins B6, B9, and B12 synergy. Now let's turn our attention to the B vitamins, specifically B6, B9, folate, and B12, which are all indispensable for mitigating the risk of age-related macular degeneration (AMD) and sustaining overall neural health in the eye. These vitamins function in a powerful synergistic manner to support various bodily functions, including those that are absolutely critical for our vision. Let's carefully explore how this trio contributes to your eye health and why their inclusion in your diet is paramount. The first member of this family, vitamin B6, plays a crucial role in the synthesis of neurotransmitters, which are the chemical messengers vital for proper eye function. These neurotransmitters help meticulously regulate visual signals, ensuring that your eyes communicate effectively and rapidly with your brain. A deficiency in vitamin B6 can potentially lead to various neurological deficits impacting not only the quality of your vision, but also overall brain function. Additionally, studies consistently suggest that individuals with an adequate B6 intake are less likely to experience a range of vision problems, underscoring this vitamin's importance in your daily diet. Next, we have folate, or vitamin B9, which is essential for DNA synthesis and repair. This continuous process is critical for the health and longevity of every cell in the body, including those within the eyes. Folate is particularly important as we age because it actively helps prevent the degeneration of retinal cells. Deficiencies in folate have been linked to an increased risk of eye diseases, notably age-related macular degeneration. Research has indicated that individuals with a statistically higher folate intake tend to exhibit better markers of eye health, reinforcing the necessity of consuming sufficient amounts of this vitamin. Finally, there is vitamin B12, which is indispensable for maintaining the health of nerve cells, including those that make up the optic system. This vitamin supports the myelin sheath, a protective fatty covering that insulates nerve fibers. ensuring that visual signals are transmitted efficiently and accurately. A deficiency in vitamin B12 can lead to severe vision issues, including optic nerve damage, which can significantly impair sight. Moreover, adequate levels of vitamin B12 are also associated with a lower risk of cataracts and other age-related ocular diseases. The safe daily intake for vitamin B6 ranges from about 1.3 to 2 milligrams, while for folate, the general recommendation is 400 micrograms, and for vitamin B12, the intake should be approximately 2.4 micrograms. You can easily acquire these essential vitamins from a wide variety of foods. Leafy green vegetables, beans, lentils, and certain fortified cereals are excellent sources of B vitamins. Incorporating these foods into your meals not only enhances your eye health, but profoundly contributes to your overall systemic well-being. For synergistic benefits, consider combining these B vitamins with vitamin C-rich foods. Vitamin C is known to enhance the absorption of B vitamins, allowing your body to utilize these nutrients more effectively. Think about adding a generous portion of citrus fruits or bell peppers to your leafy green salads or morning smoothies for a nutritious and palatable boost. Therefore, as you prioritize maintaining sharp vision and preventing progressive eye diseases, make it a point to integrate these powerful B vitamins into your daily routine. They play a pivotal role in reducing the risk of cataracts and supporting crucial neural health, making them key players on your journey toward optimal health. A vibrant, colorful plate teeming with nutrient-rich foods can make a world of difference for your sight and overall vitality. Essential Nutrient 6 Omega-3 Fatty Acids, the retinal protector. Lastly, let's examine the profound benefits of omega-3 fatty acids, which, due to their essential function in maintaining overall health, are often discussed alongside vitamins. Omega-3s are particularly vital for ocular health, specifically in preserving the integrity of the retina and actively preventing age-related macular degeneration as we grow older. As our eyes naturally become more vulnerable to damage with age, it becomes imperative to prioritize nutrients that can effectively counteract these degenerative effects. But how exactly do these healthy fats work? Omega-3 fatty acids are packed with potent active compounds that can deliver immense benefits for your eye health. The three principal types you must be aware of are alpha-linolenic acid, ALA, eicosapentaenoic acid, EPA, and docosahexaenoic acid, DHA. ALA is the plant-based omega-3, which you can find in foods like flax seeds, chia seeds, and walnuts. It is considered essential because your body cannot synthesize it. Then we have EPA and DHA, which are derived primarily from fatty fish, such as salmon and mackerel. These two compounds are outstanding for reducing inflammation and are crucial for maintaining a healthy heart and eyes. DHA in particular plays an incredibly significant role in sustaining brain function and is a key structural component of the retina itself. By consistently incorporating sources of these omega-3s into your diet, you are providing your body with a profound level of cellular support. Researchers have also extensively documented that omega-3 fatty acids are major contributors to reducing inflammation throughout the body, including within the ocular tissues. This anti-inflammatory property is especially beneficial for safeguarding the optic nerve, which is indispensable for clear vision. When systemic inflammation is kept in check, blood flow to the eyes improves, which can potentially help to lower the risk of developing glaucoma, a condition characterized by increased intraocular pressure that can severely damage vision if not properly managed. The mechanism behind this protective effect is linked to omega-3's ability to support the health and fluidity of cell membranes, promoting optimal functionality within the complex structures of the eye. The recommended daily intake of omega-3 fatty acids typically ranges from about 1.1 to 1.6 grams, with variations based on individual factors like age and gender. You can readily obtain omega-3s from diverse food sources, with fatty fish, like salmon mackerel and sardines, being top choices. Furthermore, plant-based sources such as flax seeds, chia seeds, and walnuts are excellent alternatives for those following a vegetarian or vegan diet. These fish not only offer a high concentration of omega-3s, but also contain other nutrients beneficial for eye health. Furthermore, plant-based sources such as flax seeds, chia seeds, and walnuts are excellent alternatives for those following a vegetarian or vegan diet. To maximize the absorption of omega-3 fatty acids, strategically pair these foods with antioxidant-rich fruits and vegetables. For example, adding berries or spinach to a salmon salad not only enhances the meal's flavor, but also significantly boosts its nutritional value. Antioxidants work synergistically with omega-3s, helping to combat oxidative stress and providing an amplified layer of protection for your eyes against damage. Beyond their direct eye benefits, omega-3 fatty acids are globally recognized for supporting cardiovascular health, reducing triglycerides, and even contributing to improved brain function. By including omega-3s in your diet, you are taking proactive measures not just to maintain your vision, but to bolster your systemic well-being. That concludes our comprehensive discussion for today. Incorporating these 6 vital vitamins and essential nutrients into your routine is not merely a simple dietary modification. It represents a powerful, proactive commitment to your health and overall vitality. For those who face heightened risk, particularly individuals managing diabetes, taking these early proactive measures can profoundly reduce the likelihood of developing cataracts and glaucoma conditions that can be devastating to your quality of life. Early prevention is your most powerful tool. Regular thorough checkups with your primary care provider and a consulting ophthalmologist are necessary to catch potential issues before they escalate into serious vision-threatening problems. A well-balanced diet that is rich in these essential nutrients serves as your very best defense in diligently safeguarding your eyesight for the coming years. These vitamins do more than just support your vision. They contribute to your overall health, helping you feel vibrant and energetic. Thank you for your time and attention today. If you found this information valuable, please share it with friends and family who may benefit from this critical knowledge.